The question, Luke 9, verse 1, forces us to ask. 12 men stand before Jesus. They are not rulers. They are not scholars. Most of them are fishermen who, not long ago, spent their days casting nets into the waters of Galilee. One collected taxes. Another had been a political zealot. None of them had commanded armies or governed cities. Yet in this quiet moment, Jesus speaks words that no ordinary teacher would ever dare to say. And he called the 12 together and gave them power and authority over all demons and to cure diseases. Luke chapter 9, verse 1. We often focus on what the disciples were able to do after this moment. We marvel at the miracles that followed. But there is another question sitting quietly inside that verse. What kind of man can give authority over demons? Prophets in Israel prayed for God to act. Elijah cried out to the Lord. Elisha asked God to bring healing. But here, Jesus does not ask, he gives. Authority can only be delegated by someone who already possesses it. So Luke quietly places a question in the reader's mind that the rest of the chapter slowly begins to answer. Where did Jesus get authority like this? As the story continues, Jesus begins speaking about something Israel had long been waiting for, the kingdom of God. But I tell you truly, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see the kingdom of God. Luke chapter 9, verse 27. The kingdom is not described as something far away in the future. It is arriving. Something is breaking into the world through the presence of Jesus himself. Then Luke takes us up a mountain. Jesus is praying, when suddenly his appearance changes. His face shines with a brightness the disciples have never seen. Moses and Elijah appear beside him, figures who represent the law and the prophets. For a moment, the entire story of Israel seems to stand together on that mountain. The disciples struggle to stay awake. They are frightened and confused by what they are seeing. Then a cloud overshadows them, and a voice speaks from heaven. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my son, my chosen one. Listen to him." Luke chapter 9, verse 35. This is not a prophet affirming Jesus. This is God himself. The God who spoke through the law and the prophets now directs all attention to his son. Listen to him. Yet Luke is not finished revealing what we are meant to see. Later in the chapter, Jesus speaks again about himself. Let these words sink into your ears. The Son of Man is about to be delivered into the hands of men. Luke chapter 9, verse 44. To modern readers, the phrase Son of Man can sound humble or poetic. But for those who knew the scriptures, the phrase carried the echo of a vision given centuries earlier to the prophet Daniel. Daniel wrote, "I saw in the night visions, and behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man, and to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all peoples, nations, and languages should serve him." Daniel chapter 7, verses 13 through 14. This was not a small vision. The figure Daniel saw was brought before the Ancient of Days himself. And to that figure was given authority over every nation, all peoples, all languages, all kingdoms. Now the opening moment in Luke chapter 9 begins to look very different. Those 12 men standing before Jesus were not simply being sent out by a rabbi. They were standing before the very Son of Man Daniel saw standing before the throne of heaven. The fishermen standing in that moment may not have fully understood what they were seeing. Luke tells us that even when Jesus spoke about what was coming, the disciples struggled to grasp his meaning. But Luke wants his readers to see it. The authority Jesus gives in Luke chapter 9 does not come from human status, political power, or religious position. It comes from heaven itself. And once we begin to see Jesus this way, the response he calls for begins to make sense. In the ancient world, when a king extended favor to someone, that gift was called charis, grace, favor freely given. But that gift was never meant to end with the king alone. It created a response in those who received it. That response was called pistis, the Greek word our English Bibles translate as faith. But in the ancient world, pistis carried the sense of loyalty and allegiance given to a king who had shown favor. The king extended charis. His people responded with pistis. This is the language that surrounds the kingdom Jesus was announcing. The king gives grace, his people give allegiance. And once we truly see who Jesus is, neutrality quietly disappears. Jesus himself says, Everyone who acknowledges me before men, the Son of Man also will acknowledge before the angels of God. But the one who denies me before men will be denied before the angels of God. Luke chapter 12, verses 8 through 9. These are not the words of a teacher offering advice. They are the words of the king Daniel saw, the one who has been given dominion and glory and a kingdom that will never pass away. And that realization brings us to a moment of clarity. The man who gave authority to 12 fishermen performing miracles, he is the Son of Man. The King whose authority reaches over heaven, earth, and every spiritual power. The King who extends his charis to us even now. And the question before us is not merely what we think about him. The question is whether we will give him our pistis, our allegiance, our trust, our lives under his reign. As you sit with this teaching today, take a moment to reflect on where this realization presses most strongly on your heart. Where might Jesus be inviting you to move beyond admiration and into deeper allegiance under his reign? And where might the King be calling you to trust his authority more fully in the places where obedience still feels costly or uncertain? If you are willing, share your reflections or questions in the comments so we can learn and walk this journey together.